Imagine waking up before dawn, grabbing a cold coffee and diving into a mountain of emails. You skip lunch, stay late, cancel plans with friends, all to prove you're committed. But when payday comes, your bank account looks the same as last month, maybe even smaller. How is it possible that the harder you work, the less you earn? This isn't a rare anomaly. It's the reality for millions of people around the world. Welcome to the paradox of modern labor. If the riddle, the harder you work, the less you seem to earn, just jolted something awake in your chest. Give me 3 seconds of rebellion. Smash that like to tell the algorithm you're not alone. Hit subscribe so we can keep excavating the psychological catacombs school and HR never mapped. And share this right now to slip an escape map into the DMs of the friend who's still online at 2 a.m. chasing deadlines. The hustle that hollows you out. In a world that glorifies hustle culture, we're taught that hard work is the key to success. Social media feeds are filled with motivational posts, but behind the glossy filters, there's a hidden truth. Most people who grind the hardest are the ones struggling the most. A barista working 2 jobs can't afford rent. A teacher taking side gigs can't save for retirement. A parent juggling 3 jobs can't afford childcare. This isn't failure. It's a system designed to extract value from our labor while giving little in return. And it's not just happening to others. It's happening to you, to me, to everyone who believes the lie that hard work equals wealth. Pause, ask yourself, have you ever felt like you're working harder than ever but getting nowhere? Like the more you give, the less you get? If yes, you're not alone. This isn't a personal failure, it's a systemic one. To understand this paradox, we need to dive into the psychology of work. Carl Jung talked about the shadow self, the parts of ourselves we hide from the world. In modern capitalism, our shadow isn't laziness or weakness. It's our desire for rest, for connection, for meaning. We suppress these desires because society tells us they're unproductive. But when we deny our shadow, it grows stronger. That's why burnout feels like a physical weight. We're fighting against our own nature. Sigmund Freud would say this is a conflict between the id, our primal desires for rest and pleasure, and the superego, society's demand to work hard. The ego tries to mediate, but in a world that values productivity over humanity, the superego wins. We feel guilty for resting, so we work more, even though it's making us miserable. Friedrich Nietzsche warned about the will to power being co-opted by systems. He said, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe." Today, the tribe is corporate America, social media, and the cult of hustle. Our will to power, our desire to control our lives, is turned into a tool for exploitation. We work hard to get ahead, but the system keeps moving the goalposts. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote about logotherapy, the search for meaning in suffering. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But modern work often robs us of that why. We do tasks that don't matter for bosses who don't care, in industries that destroy the planet. No wonder so many people feel empty. They're working without purpose. History tells a similar story. During the Industrial Revolution, factory owners exploited workers, forcing them into 16-hour days for pennies. The labor movement fought back, winning the 8-hour workday, weekends, and minimum wage. But in the 1980s, neoliberalism took over. Reagan and Thatcher cut taxes for the rich, deregulated markets, and attacked unions. Suddenly, the 8-hour day became a luxury. Gig workers, temp workers, and freelancers replaced full-time employees. Now, we're back to where we started, working longer hours for less pay. Experiments confirm this. The Hawthorne studies, 1920s, showed that workers produced more when they felt valued, not because of longer hours. The Stanford Marshmallow Experiment, 1970s, found that kids who delayed gratification did better. But in a world where immediate survival is a concern, delayed gratification is a luxury. In a 2020 study by the University of California, found that people who worked more than 55 hours a week had a 33% higher risk of stroke. Hard work isn't just unprofitable, it's deadly. Culture plays a big role too. Movies like The Wolf of Wall Street glorify greed and hustle, but real life shows the opposite. Social media influencers post hustle photos working from cafes, traveling for work, but they don't show the burnout, the failed relationships, the empty bank accounts. We're fed a fantasy, and we buy into it because we want to believe that hard work will pay off. But the truth is, the system is rigged against us. Pause, ask yourself, have you ever compared yourself to a social media influencer and felt inadequate? Have you ever thought, if I just work harder? If yes, you're not alone. This isn't your fault. It's the fault of a culture that profits from your insecurity. The danger of this cycle is clear: burnout, depression, anxiety, and a loss of purpose. We become shells of ourselves, trapped in a loop of work-sleep work. But there's an opportunity here too. When we reject the hustle, we reclaim our humanity. We remember that we're not machines. We're humans with needs, desires, and dreams. Movements like the 4-day workweek are showing that less work can mean more productivity. Iceland trialed a 4-day week for years, and the results were stunning. Workers reported higher satisfaction, lower stress, and no drop in output. Belgium recently made the 4-day week legal. Cooperatives like Mondragon in Spain, where workers own the company, have higher job satisfaction and lower turnover. Slow living, digital minimalism, and the Great Resignation are all signs that people are waking up to the fact that hard work shouldn't come at the cost of life. These aren't just trends, they're revolutions. Revolutions against a system that values profit over people. Revolutions that say, we deserve better. We deserve to work less, live more, and be happy. So how do we break free from this cycle? Here are some tools. Set boundaries. Turn off work notifications after hours. Say no to non-essential tasks. Protect your time like it's gold, because it is. Use apps like Freedom or Cold Turkey to block distracting websites. Prioritize value over volume. Do fewer tasks, but do them well. Focus on work that aligns with your values, not just what pays the bills. As Brené Brown says, no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your time. Find meaning beyond work. Volunteer, pursue a hobby, spend time with loved ones. Remember that your worth isn't tied to your paycheck. As Carl Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Build community. Connect with others who are going through the same thing. Support groups, unions, online communities. Strength comes in numbers. Join a union. Support local businesses. Vote for politicians who prioritize workers' rights. Challenge the myth. Stop believing that hard work equals success. Start believing that balance equals success. As Viktor Frankl said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Pause, ask yourself, what would your life look like if you worked 20% less? If you spent that time with family, pursuing a passion, or simply resting, would it be worse, or would it be better? The climax of this journey is realizing that the hustle isn't just bad for us, it's bad for everyone. When we work ourselves to death, we can't contribute to our communities. We can't raise healthy kids. We can't build a better world. The system wants us to be tired, distracted, and compliant. But when we wake up, we become a threat to inequality, a threat to exploitation, a threat to the status quo. The truth is, hard work doesn't equal wealth. Compliance equals wealth for the people at the top. The harder we work, the more we feed the machine that's keeping us down. To break free, we must stop seeing ourselves as workers and start seeing ourselves as humans. We must reject the myth of endless hustle and embrace the truth of human dignity. Think of the system as a pyramid. At the top are the billionaires who profit from our labor. At the bottom are us, the workers who carry the pyramid on our backs. The harder we work, the heavier the pyramid gets. But if we stop carrying it, if we refuse to be exploited, the pyramid collapses. That's the power we have. We don't have to be slaves to the hustle. We can be free. Imagine a world where people work 4 days a week, have time for family and friends, and still earn enough to live comfortably. Imagine a world where work is meaningful, not just profitable. Imagine a world where hard work is rewarded with rest, not exhaustion. That world is possible, but it won't happen unless we fight for it, unless we reject the hustle, unless we choose to live. So today I urge you, awaken from the dream of endless work. Reclaim your time, reclaim your energy, reclaim your humanity. Because when we stop working to survive and start living to thrive, that's when true wealth begins, not in dollars but in freedom, connection, and purpose. The harder you work, the less you earn. But the more you live, the more you gain. Choose life, choose freedom, choose hope, because the future belongs to those who dare to dream differently.